I am having Amber on the potty today, and I'm inspired by your views, the way you look at life, the way you do life, the way you are bringing up your beautiful son, and
thank you.
Your partnership as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, I wanted to ask a few questions surrounding that. So I can help the peeps and help myself as well, because that's so what I want. Just like the conscious. Fuck, I feel like I'm gonna cry a couple of times today. But yeah, that's what I want deeply. Is to kind of like dedicate the next few years to just like getting my body ready.
Wow.
For that, not that I have a partner or anything like that, but if it was to happen.
That's a beautiful sentiment to have. So many people like me included just like happen themselves like pregnant and just like, wow, let's just go with the flow and ride the waves. I think I was really grateful because when I became pregnant, it was when like COVID hit and there was all like everything was a bit crazy, but we were like in this little cocoon of like just going to the ocean every day, going to the waterfalls, just like living the life that would be ideal for you to live if you wanted to conceive. It was a beautiful time because the world kind of like switched off and everyone was just connecting, and
it's true. There was a particular kind of air in that time, calming kind of air. But I wanted to talk a little bit about just like free range living and raising cedar with a very kind of different approach, which is the approach that I'm so excited about. It's you're in the minority for sure, I'd say, with the way you've raised him, which is like outdoors, healthy, curious. That just gets me excited. What do you think the importance of curiosity is in like raising a child, their curiosity and yours as well?
Honestly, it's kind of paramount, I think, because we're all curious beings anyway, and as soon as we grow up, one way or another we're going to explore and learn from our own mistakes and all that kind of thing. But it's actually really challenging to step back as a mother and as a parent and just like observe your child and see them, because you just love them so much. You want to protect them from everything. You want to protect them from, you know, potentially being emotionally hurt or bullying or like just knowing that you just got to kind of keep a distance but also be there always. I think curiosity is really important, and as well as a parent, it's an opportunity when you step into motherhood to just reflect on who you are, how you have grown up, especially like how you were parented. It just is a big slap in the face. It's like, I don't know if you've ever been in a partnership and all of a sudden you're meeting yourself and you're just like, whoa, like I haven't seen this part of myself. It's like that, except on another level, because it's like obviously you're looking at your child and you're part of that person, and you're thinking like, what am I saying? How am I wording things? Because that shapes the way they speak to themselves, the way they think. Obviously, they're unique, and maybe I'm going on different.
No. That's a beautiful. That I'm so. There's another question kind of in this theme, so keep going.
But I feel like it's an amazing tool for reflection, and I've learned so much. I've read a lot of books. Well, maybe not a lot, maybe like one book. But when I say I've read a lot of books, I mean I've read a lot of content, because I've like been in and out of using social media, and at points been like, social media is just like a whole of like you know, comparison and this and that. But it's actually it's actually all on you. It's how you use it, and I've discovered some amazing. Especially when it comes to motherhood and parenting, different approaches and ways of rephrasing and you know, kind, gentle parenting where like you're just being a human being and your child is seeing you be a human being. It's like often we grow up with our parents, and if they have a big emotion and they take it out on us, often it's normal for them to not come and repair or apologize or anything, whereas, you know, I really make a point of, you know, being someone who's always acknowledging maybe areas that I could have done better, or being like, hey, Cedar, like, that was a situation that was really triggering for me, or like saying, hey, I felt really overwhelmed in that situation, and I didn't mean to raise my voice how I did. And I could have been more calm in that time and stuff. And also know that we're not perfect, and that's actually important, that we're not perfect. Otherwise,
and it's your first go at it. You could even see it when he was dropping you off, just how much he accepted you going. Like, I feel like in any other situation he could have just lost his shit and be like, don't go, sort of thing, but he was just like, okay. Like, it's just really sweet to see that.
Well, like, the thing is, I think he knows that I'm coming back. He knows I love him, and he knows
this is something Mumsy's got to do.
And you when you build a really secure connection with your child, like, that's something that builds trust as well.
For sure.
I think,
do you find that's a big pressure on you, using like the right words and like conveying the right kind of message, and just sort of like, I find myself in general, like, I feel like I have to use a lot of words with my friends or with my partnerships, with everything, so that I am not misunderstood in a way.
I hear you.
It's a tricky one. It's one that I've really struggled with.
Holy
shit.
No, honestly, it's a thing. It's actually a beautiful thing that should be celebrated, because it's showing that you are really caring for yourself and the other person. And I know that could also be viewed as like, you know, I don't want to be misunderstood, because if I'm misunderstood, like, you know, people will think weirdly of me or differently of me, or like, it's universal, a human thing that we all want to be loved, accepted, understood.
Big time.
But
and it's just like, I think I had a question about just like, obviously you see your parents doing things and you look back and you think, oof, I wouldn't do it like the way they did that, and then you kind of craft a certain way you want to be with your child, and is there some certain things that you focused on? For example, like, body love is going to be one that's really important for me, because I struggle a little bit with that. I want to just make sure that my kids know that just their bodies are so strong, and like, you know, all that jazz. Like,
of course.
Do you have some little focuses around certain things that you feel like maybe your needs weren't met when you were younger, that you focus on, or things that you find a little bit more important? Or
I think body love is definitely important. It's different when you're raising a son, although not different. True. Like, different but not different.
To a degree.
I feel like I would have a slightly different approach if I had a daughter. And I know that my partner is, you know, my husband is really, like, amazing when it comes to that kind of thing. Like, he's just so dedicated to, because he didn't really get a good masculine figure growing up, so it's really important for him and to showcase, you know, how to be a man of like integrity, who's going to protect and who's going to stand up for people, and who's, you know, going to be like a, you know, a man who isn't a sleaze bag.
Just a healthy masculine.
Basically, that. And
that's cool.
But in terms of focuses, like, I've become a person who's, there's positives and negatives to every trait, and it's beautiful. But there's someone who's like, what I call a quote-unquote, like, cruisy kitten.
Yeah.
So, where you just want to be cruisy. It's like, and I find that, like, I had, you know, my father was a little bit, didn't deal with his anger really well, and which, you know, could have been was a little bit traumatic at times.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, become really important to me to just, like, showcase how to move through anger, but then at the same time, like, on the other side of that, it's like, okay, well, anger is also shouldn't be an emotion that's demonized, because anger is really important.
Super.
And it's just, like, the way that you use it and express it.
How have you noticed, it's Oliver, hey?
Yeah.
How have you noticed, like, Oliver change from, like, you guys just, like, dating and then all of a sudden, were you guys married before you had the baby? No. Yeah, have you noticed, like, a big shift in him stepping up as a provider for the both of you?
I feel like as soon as Cedar was born, and you know he found out, you know I was pregnant, he was just way more laser focused, like, in terms of, he's always been someone who's very much the bullshit police, like skeptical hippo eyes kind of vibes. Like, just, and that's what I really admired about him when I first met him. Like, wow, like, as soon as I came into his presence, I was like, am I authentic right now?
Yeah.
Like, am I just being, I'm sorry. Am I just being, like, am I being me?
Yeah.
You know, because I could feel like he's very perceptive. He's very, very perceptive, and he's very knowledgeable on human behavior.
Cool.
And that kind of thing. And so I think in terms of my, like, relationship with my past relationships, he's, like, my first actual relationship. I've had, like, maybe flings and, like, hung out with people, but not to obviously that his extent. And I finally felt like I met someone who I've really felt safe to be myself. Like, the weirdest, craziest, most, like, cooked version of myself, and he really celebrated me, and just, like, all the things that you would hold in. I felt like, oh wow, I can be, like, the weirdest version and stuff like that, and he's in full acceptance of it. And then at the same time, like, I felt so protected.
Cool.
Nice. Like, I felt like he was always watching out for me, and to be honest, like, even to the point where I'm like, okay, what like, I'm
capable.
I'm okay, but, like, even though it's appreciated. Whereas, like, before, I'd never felt that way. Like, I felt like I was, not to sound like, I don't know how this will sound, but it doesn't matter.
I probably felt the same way.
Like, I felt, I guess, maybe stronger. Does that make sense? Like, you feel maybe like you're more in your masculine.
Always.
And
in relationships.
And just having a man who's just like, you're like, oh, okay. I never felt so feminine in my life, ever. I was just like, wow.
That's the best.
I feel so feminine, and, you know.
Well, when they're in their healthy masculine, it just leaves so much room for you to be your femme.
It does. But I've seen him step into, like, we all deal with our own, you know, triggers and our own emotional baggage and past experiences and all the different things that come up. But I've just really seen him just step into, like, protect. And he's just, like, the opposite of a people pleaser.
Cool.
Which is actually which isn't taken well by some people. But then when they understand where he's coming from, it's like, oh wow, I know that everything that Oliver does is coming from pure intention of love, not coming from an intention of, like, oh, I'll do this and then like, you know, I'll sound, and then I'll look like this, or I don't know.
He screams, I am myself.
Yeah.
And so much integrity, just like...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You just see it in him, just in the way he walks and the way you look in his eyes and you're just like, that's a sincere man.
Yeah.
Without even knowing him.
Yeah.
Wow. You deserve that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Like,
true.
You know, there's always lessons in it as well.
Yeah.
You know, with the positive that comes, you know, the challenges with it. And it's funny because, you know, girls will tend to get together and they'll just like bitch about, you know, I'm not really in that realm. It's really interesting to overhear conversations and hear conversations, oh, my man won't communicate, or my man won't, like, you know, he's so passive aggressive or whatever. And you're just like, it's kind of sometimes refreshing hearing things because you're like, oh wow, I don't have to deal with that. That's like, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, you guys have something very special because it is, dating in this day and age is tricky. It's very tricky. I think everyone's quite scared and you don't want to be too vulnerable or show too much, and then there's the chase thing about the guy wanting to pick up the woman. I'm just like, I can't. I'm so uninterested by the thing. I'm just like, it's too hard basket.
It is a whole world up there, isn't it? You kind of forget.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're in your own little bubble, it's like all my friends around me are just like, again struggling with that same stuff, like can't communicate or playing games or all that.
Wow. Thank you for saying this. This is really important for me.
Well, it's good, and then you just can appreciate it even a little bit more.
No, I do.
Yeah, and I know you do.
Yeah, but I do even more hearing that. Yeah.
But I think you're always destined to attract somebody on you. It's a frequency thing. Like,
Thank you.
Meant to be.
Appreciate it. Well, it's funny because we make up the 4 elements. Not like I don't look too far into that stuff, but I'm open. I'm open, and I also just like, it's really interesting to learn more and hear about things. And we're both on cusps. So earth, air, and he's fire and water. So it's like we're the 4 elements.
How cool is that? What are you? What's your?
I'm Gemini Taurus and he's Pisces Aries.
How good is that? That's actually a really interesting blend.
Yeah, not that
really, Aries and Gemini go super well together.
True.
Yeah. They're just like partners super
interesting.
Well. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, that's cool. I'm Gemini as well.
Oh.
I didn't know you were.
Yeah.
That's sick.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. So much sense. The way the brain works.
Yeah.
Have you had any sort of backlash from having a bit of a greener approach, like not necessarily opting for going into the medical system? And I think I read a little bit, I read a lot about just like the way you decided to do things when when you fell pregnant. Like, I think a lot of people fall pregnant, go straight to the doctor, they're like, bang bang bang, here's your sugar test, here's all the things that you need to do or whatever, and it's just like, me intuitively it's always been a strong no, but then reading what you had to say about all that just made me so happy.
Oh wow, that's really cool to hear that. That's like an initial response from you.
Oh, straight up.
Because I felt similarly, but for some reason it's like the whole Western world just drills it into us that like, as soon as you fall pregnant, the first thing you do is go to the doctors and they're going to give you all the ultrasounds, the tests and everything, and you get a care provider, and you know, it's just a normal thing to do. And if you don't do it, then you're like, you're endangering your baby, like what are you thinking, like, you know, that kind of thing. Like I'm really grateful in the sense that every one of my close friends from the very beginning, full trust, full support, full power, just like, you've got this, I'm inspired, I'm amazed, you do it, like, we're here behind you. And so I'm so grateful for that. The only like backlash I had was from just a few comments from like acquaintances or, you know, family especially. And it's, you know, it comes from a loving place. But it's still coming from a place of fear.
It's a lot.
But I did go to the doctor. And I was just interested. I was like, how do they do things? because I like have a background. I studied. I was going to study to become an RN like years ago, and I just registered nurse. Oh. And I did like saying it now. I'm just like did I?
I would not have guessed.
Yeah, I was just like, why did I do that?
And I mean, I studied criminology and psychology, like random.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, wow. I mean, for a bit.
It's interesting. Yeah. I don't know why it took me so long to just defer from that, but anyway, so I was just curious, and I went to the doctor, and I'm so grateful for the experience I had. And it's not to poo-poo all doctors, because a lot of them come from a really good place, and they mean so well. And there are women who go through the medical system and are so grateful and have a beautiful experience, and all power to them. However, there's also, like, you can't ignore the hundreds and thousands of women who end up with post-traumatic stress and depression, and, you know, you talk to them about their birth, and, you know, all of a sudden it opens up this big, like, you know, wound, and it's really sad, and it's not okay. And I don't, like, I've heard firsthand a lot of birth trauma stories where it's like at the point of medicalized, you put a band-aid over it because it's in the medical system. It's like, this is technically like rape, but you know, because it's in the medical system,
we don't have to talk
about it. It's all good, like, no worries. It's like, you know, people sticking their whole fists up, you know, your birth canal when the lady's saying no, like, you know, kicking, like, get off me, and then, you know, they're not listening because they know best, and you know, they're just like injecting all this fear, and it makes me feel yucky even talking about but
it seems like it's like our bodies are literally built to give birth and to create life. It just seems strange to go into a hospital with all these lights, and I don't know, just seems like it would just be not the experience that I'd want to have. Like, it's such a it's like a rite of passage. It's like probably the most powerful thing you'll ever do in your lifetime. To me it just sounds like something I just want to do at home. Absolutely. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. It's the best thing. It's honestly the best experience I've had in my life, like, hands down. But when I went into the doctors, I was just like, wow, absolutely not. And just walked out and just, you know, like, I did get one on ultrasound, and as soon as I was in there, I was like, I immediately regret this.
I mean, I understand the allure of getting an ultrasound, seeing if it's okay and stuff like that, but I'd love to stay out of the hospital. And I fully support it. There's this quote, like, or this saying I heard where it says somewhere on the line, something along the lines of, if a baby wanted to be seen, there'd be a window. You know? That's true.
And it's funny because when you see a lot of babies in, like, when they are getting ultrasound, it's like they're squirming around. They're not comfortable because they can feel this, like, it is like, it's like a form of radiation.
I was going to say.
And there is animal studies that show that it's not, like, it's detrimental to the fetus and can be harmful to living tissue and cells, but it's so normalized now, and like, you know, it can actually be really beneficial for some ladies and all that stuff. But I'm really grateful that the medical system does exist.
It's a good fallback.
It is.
It's a great fallback. It's time and a place, but it's
and I went into it and I was like, I'm not birthing in the hospital. And that was just my plan. I was thinking of getting a home birth midwife. But that whole process was just like, but they're still in the medical system. They still go by the, you know, have to have a break every 12 hours. Like, you know, like, even when I was studying nursing, like, you learn about all the legal systems within the medical system. And they're just trying to save their asses. Like, they have to sign off so much stuff. And do certain protocols just so that in the case that it doesn't go their way, they don't get sued.
Great.
So, it's like, I was very much aware of that, and that was something that, it was like, oh, well, I don't actually need a midwife. I was like, we've been birthing humans for thousands of years with, either just on our own or being held by other women who have gone through that process or who are just there to support you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had like my two best friends and my other really close friend who was training to be a doula. She came, and that's pretty much it. And then Oliver, and
it's so beautiful to get to kind of choose the energies that you're going to have around to bring the baby in as well. I just love the idea of that, not just having people screaming into your room. And I had a friend give birth during COVID, and she had COVID, so it was just like giving birth in the hospital with just like people wearing like the suits and the things, and it's just like, that sounds, it just truly sounds traumatic. Full stop. Like, it just doesn't sound like it promotes like a healthy integration into motherhood.
No, definitely not. Hey, it's like, would you take a shit like in the middle of the shopping centre?
No.
Like, just like everyone watching.
No,
probably not. You wouldn't feel really comfortable. And it's like this theory of like sphincters are shy. So it's and we can learn from animals as well, because we are technically animals. We're wild beings, even though we're very civilized. And a cat will go to the darkest part of the house to have her litter. Go like hide away to have her litter. And often as well, like a lot of women will feeling labour come on during the night time. It's always like that time where it's like stillness. And mine was like, I didn't think I was in labour. I was just like, oh, maybe this is just like pre-labour, or like maybe this is just that Braxton Hicks. And then when I messaged my little birth team, and I was like, hey, I lost my mucus plug. It was amazing. Like, it just came trickling down my leg, and I was like, wow. And I've been feeling like this downward pressure in my womb, and just like off and on, and this could be it, but it also couldn't be, because I was really listening to a lot of free birth stories and home birth stories, and that was a really amazing thing to do, because you hear every single story and any curiosity that you have of like, oh, what happens if this happens, or this happens. It's like, there's a woman that's walked through that path, and
you can be so prepared.
And and I was just aware. I was like, wow, like, this could be 3 days, this could be a week, this could be, whatever. So I think the biggest key. There's been ladies who have been in like labour for like 3 days, or and it's something that if they were in the medical system, they would probably be like, you gotta move this along. There's so many amazing birth documentaries as well that I'd highly recommend people see.
I'll hit you up for some of those. I swear I just watch so many birth stories and just cry. I just love them.
That's amazing.
All the videos and stuff. I just think it's so impressive. Like the whole process. I'm just like, what?
It's surreal. It is surreal. It's like the biggest trip ever.
I read that you thought it was like somewhat psychedelic in a way. I think that's so cool. It makes sense as well. There'd be probably a bit of DMT being released in your brain in a way.
Definitely. It's I really liken it to mushrooms.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had experience with psilocybin mushrooms before, and it's just the more you resist, the more it's going to swallow you.
Fully.
The more it's just going to like mess with you.
Yeah.
The more you like let go.
Yeah.
The better the ride. The more you just let go, surrender, just like I'm just going to dissolve in this.
Yeah.
The easier it is.
Yeah.
And the timelessness of it.
Yeah.
Just where you will feel like time slowed down, and then when you talk to the people who are in the room, you're like, that was like 10 minutes. Like, I remember I was waiting for a heat pack and I was just like, fuck, it's been an hour. it was like 5 minutes. And I'm like, I was like, how has it been like an hour?
Yeah, that's
and then
funny.
And then there was moments where I was just like in my zone.
Yeah.
And, hours had passed and it feels like 10 minutes. It's just like, what's going on?
That's so cool.
And, it's funny as well, like, looking back on the birth footage, you're like, and looking at yourself.
Yeah.
When you've just gone through that portal and you're, like, meeting yourself as a mum. It's like, wow. Like, I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
That's ecstasy right there.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I liken it to maybe someone, taking certain psychoactive drugs and being videoed and then looking at the video when they're sober and just being like, what? Yeah. It's like, wow. And you relive it and you're like, wow, like that was the best moment of my life.
Yeah, that's so cool. It gets me so jazzed up.
Yeah.
I guess it can be quite a primal thing again, as you say. So, that's cool. It's just cool to see just what your body can do, basically.
Yeah, it's
like
amazing.
How far you can push it. Yeah. But how natural it is.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
Supernatural. It's I remember one point as well, like feeling like, you were surrounded by like women, even that weren't.
Yeah.
Everyone just merges and it's like you feel this real feminine essence just fill the room. It's like really primal. It's like, wow, I'm in the land of the ancients and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's
a journey.
Yeah, and this is what like physiological birth is.
Yeah.
I can't speak. I can't speak for women who birth under, the influence of certain.
That makes me so sad. The idea of being on something that's not naturally created.
Yeah.
Like being juiced up with something and then I know there's time and a place again, but I know it's just feels, I don't know, just makes me sad, basically.
No, I resonate with you. It makes me sad too, and I just feel like women, there's so much evidence that points towards that if a woman is well and nurtured and nourished and has a positive birth, then they're likely to be a more present, grounded, like, just their motherhood journey is just going to be so much easier in the sense of, they don't have to carry around that trauma. They don't,
It doesn't have to be this huge, heavy, big thing where you have to repair and fix a traumatic experience. I guess it can be a something that you're extremely proud of, and then
no, absolutely. It's I don't want to speak for everyone because everyone's so unique, and people get really like
it's so significant to each person, and it's just like significant to the choices that you decide to make early on in life as well, and just the way you live your life. It's like I see a lot of mothers getting around and they're just stressed. You can see it in their eyes, like running around Woolies or whatever, and when I do my monthly Woolly shop, and it's just like I just see the impact it's going to have already on the child, that level of stress. And again, they've got to live their lives, like not I guess my dream is to be able to just like have a full conscious pregnancy and not have to like jump straight back into work and all that jazz. But
that's ideal.
That is ideal. I think that's why I'm kind of chipping away at work now, trying to get that sorted. But to me, it feels like the biggest thing you'll ever do. So why not do it properly? You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's the most monumental experience that often many women will say it's like the most transformative experience, especially if especially if it's done in a way that's conducive to let your natural cascade of hormones flow, like feel safe in your body and protected and nurtured, especially postpartum. Postpartum is so crucial. People just think, you know, when they get pregnant, they're like, it's all about the birth and all the breathing techniques and the positions, and it's just like, birth is amazing and beautiful and psychedelic and all the things and intense. It'll like you gotta walk through fire, but at the same time it's so normal and it's so non-eventful in the sense it's like, you know, you got a baby now, and then people are like, wow, and then they got this baby and they're like, oh, let's navigate this now. Like how do I communicate with my partner uninterrupted? How do we communicate? Like, I think nurturing your relationship before you have the baby and having all the conversations and having a team of people who are going to come and nourish you. Like, you're not lifting a finger, like you're not doing washing, even though like I'm saying this, I did these things, but in hindsight I'm like, I said I wouldn't do them and I did them. Like you need to just rest, and there's a lot in Eastern philosophies and health, especially like traditional Chinese medicine, where it's like 40 days of confinement. The woman is just nourished, and that's that time for her to just fully connect with her baby and focus on nourishing her, because that's your job, like that's your full-time thing. It's like 24/7. So and you can do it. Like you do it. You look at mothers before you're a mother and you'll be like, wow, how do they do that? And then you'll be a mother and you'll just do it, and you're like, oh,
I like the idea of resting. And I swear, so when I see like a little kid on the street, all I want to do is just spend time with it, just watch it. It's just like such a presence thing, just watching them just hobble about just like a drunk adult.
They're in pure preconditioned state, and it's so delicate, and it's so like must protect this state, but also must relax and just be, and
well, that's it.
That kind of thing, just to nourish who they are. Honestly, like the way parenting has worked for us is just what feels like works naturally. And a lot of the modern living and Western lifestyle is against the natural way in which we're inclined to live, and that's what's causing a lot of negative impact, in my belief, on the child, the mother, the family construct, and it's not good. It's created disconnected beings, and just a lot of unnecessary stress, and we've just chosen to live simply, and it's honestly easier, like, you know, just breastfeed until he's like, I'm all good. Don't need any more. Thanks, Mum. You've done great, but all good. Like, there's no demand on me to be like, oh, you know, I got to pump at this time, and you know, things work for different people, and I see that, like, they're going to do what they got to do, and like,
you just don't need all these things.
You literally don't. Don't buy into it. Don't get all the things. Like, the only thing that I got was, it took us like a few months to get a pram. I had a baby carrier.
That makes sense.
This like secondhand, just like organic cotton baby wrap thing, and that, and just some reusable nappies, and then as well, you know, we did eventually get, you know, other nappies as well, because it's pretty hectic.
Fair.
But, you know, we still do choose, like, you know, eco,
as green as possible.
and just like the biggest hat off to our grandmothers for doing complete cloth nappies when they didn't exist, for like multiple children. Those things, like, wow.
Powerhouses.
Yeah, absolute powerhouse.
I had a question that's completely slipped me on one of those topics.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for just going
No, please. Like, you're flowing beautifully.
Right.
Flowing so beautifully. Yeah, it's... I wrote about, like... This lady was telling me the other day about a period after you give birth where you can fall into a bit of a deep depression, like a sadness, like I guess you're grieving the maiden to mother thing. She said it was like something that all women go through in a way, and I just like, it's because I'm a bit stubborn on the edges, but I was like, why does that need to happen, sort of thing? Like, I think when you have time, you give birth consciously, I mean, you conceive consciously, whatever it is, then you've got time to kind of like be like, I was ready for this, I've got a lot to give now, I've had my selfish years and stuff. Like, when she told me about this, I was curious, I did a bit of research, but is that something that you found you experienced? Like,
I can see where she's coming from. I never experienced a deep depression or grievance.
No.
I did experience bouts of just like witnessing, like your mind and your body is still coming into terms of like this new identity that you have. And I don't want to say that it's your identity, because obviously it becomes a huge part of you. However, you are still you, and that's the beauty of how you will mother. However, definitely had moments of like, especially within the first year, because you're like, wow, 1 year ago I wasn't even pregnant. And I think it's different. It depends how you fall pregnant, because mine was a real surprise. So it wasn't
really
like
got you completely surprised.
It was just like. It's like your parents. Cedar is meant to be here.
I agree.
He's been knocking on our door, and he's meant to be here, and because the fact that he stayed so strong throughout it all, like, not like, yes, we were living a really healthy lifestyle. However, like, I was taking like herbs that like women's like herbs that people would take to abort a child naturally.
You gotta be careful, like Chinese herbs.
And I was just like dousing myself in it, like, as a massage therapist, like I'm making all these essential oil blends and that kind of thing, which I feel like I have quite a strong constitution in the sense that, like, I'm doing massages, like I'm getting massages, like there's all these points on the body that they're like, oh, if you press that energy channel, like, and then like I went through this phase of like, we're doing like 4-day water fasts.
Fully,
and just stuff that's just saunas, like hectic infrared saunas, just stuff that people are like, oh, don't do this if you're pregnant.
I feel like there's so many rules. I'm like, why? Like there's a lot of it's to cover themselves and everything, but also it does, like, some of them do make sense. But in terms of like your first question about the grievance, I think if you have a really positive pregnancy, a really positive, empowering birth, and you are nurtured and supported, and you choose it fully, I think that experience is often just a blessing and a reflection. And I definitely had moments where I'm like, wow, like looking back on memories or photos or videos, I'm like, wow, that was me, and now I'm this, and I can't do things as easily. And then it's like, who cares? Well, so
it's like, this is my new thing. It's like, choose your hard. It's going to be like being single. Like, oh, this might sound hectic. I don't mean to touch anyone's, but like being single and lonely and like feeling isolated is hard, and getting your own like discipline or motivate or whatever it is, like your whole life person, that's hard.
It is tricky.
That can be hard. And also like finding yourself and giving all of your love and energy to a new fresh womb fruit is so like beautiful. It's honestly the most beautiful work that exists. And it's so rewarding. And I know that especially these first few years are so integral for him and his relationship with himself and the world, and his relationship with the people who like care about him the most. And so I want to be as present and as grounded and as nurturing of that as possible. And I don't care what anyone thinks about, you know, oh no, we're actually not going to do that. No, I'm actually not going to work at this time. You know, we're actually going to choose a different Han so that I can, you know, be here fully for him. And you know, we all make little mistakes or things we would have done differently, but I'm just, you know, he's definitely just a unique being, and I'm so grateful to have him in his life through all his, you know, phases. You know, he's currently going through an independence phase, finding his voice. You know, you don't tell me who I am, I tell myself, and you know, of who I am, and like saying no and questioning things. And you know, as much as sometimes that's difficult and you see things as a mature adult and you're like, that's stupid, like in your head you're just like, no, this is really important to him. You know, I got to handle this with care.
For sure. Like, let him learn in his own way.
And obviously like it's takes a lot more patience and deep breathing and that kind of thing, and just rephrasing and trying to, you know, sometimes it is like, it can be exhausting, but at the same time it's just like to be constantly on. But then it's I don't know, there's so much that just makes up for any small ail. Like just when they're cuddling up to you at night, I couldn't care less about what people talk about co-sleeping. It's like, I love sleeping. I love sleeping with my child, and him just like nestling in, just like copping a buzzy, and just like he, you know, he's there and he's like rubbing my chest, and he's asleep and he's just getting he calls it Mimu. He's like, Mimu, want Mimu? and stuff, and I love him so much. And
well, that brings me back to that question about just like big emotions. How do you kind of promote him processing his big emotions? And
he's not even 2 yet, like he'll be 2 very soon, but like he's always going to be changing and growing and going through different phases, especially when he gets like boosts of testosterone and stuff like that. There's very much an interesting approach that's kind of like, you would call it, quote unquote, like it's like the new way of parenting or whatever, but it's just based on literally like scientifically the developmental abilities of a child, because we expect so much of a growing mind to take on, like so much to process and stuff like that. Like, they're not an adult, they haven't gone through the thing yet. We can't have such high expectations. No. And especially even thinking, oh, we've been conditioned in a completely different way, and it's like, man, there's certain things that I don't want to project onto him. And it's tricky, but just being regulated yourself, just being calm, and speaking with a calm voice, and showing them that you are there, if you need, like I'm here, I'm here, and you know, even if they push you away or they want to hit you or whatever, it's like, you just say, look, I can't let you hit you. I can't let you hit me. I won't let you hit me, but I'm here for you. Kind of thing. And just, because it takes a while for them to just like cry it all out or whatever, and just, you know, telling them that it's okay. It's like, hey, are you feeling frustrated right now? I can see that you might be feeling frustrated. How can I help you? or just like maybe removing them from an environment that you can see, like you're always, as a new parent, you're always like looking around at the environment and seeing how it's impacting your child. For example, like indoors, enclosed with bright lights and different things, it's like most likely always going to cause a little bit of dysregulation because it's so overstimulating. And that's why I just freaking go outside, go to the beach, go to the waterfall, just go somewhere where they can be in a lot of space and just exist. And honestly, it's so much better for their cognitive function, and it's just natural. And it's like funny because I'm like, well, I'm being a lazy parent. I'm just like, I don't have all these organized, things to do at home. Like, even though they can be cool on a rainy day, like having some things set up, it's just like they just want to free roam, and they can make, like, their imagination is endless. Yeah, that's the beauty. It's so beautiful.
Letting them just take that for a ride. Yeah,
it's amazing to see what they can come up with themselves. And like we don't really have many toys for him. He just makes his own toys.
That's the best. That's kind of what we did as kids as well. Just build the tree houses and build slides and all that jazz. Like, I'll definitely be doing a bit of that. What do you think of, like, what are you going to do for, like, school?
I don't. If Cedar ever goes to a school, it'll be a school that is probably not systemized.
I can't imagine them in a normal.
Look, I'm not going to say that school messes kids up, but
doesn't really promote.
It doesn't promote like the lifestyle, or it's just like on my reflection. Upon my reflection of school, I just like, wow, I wasted so much time there.
So many years.
And I just like, I don't want him to have to do that. So even my friends who quit like school in whatever grade, it's like, if you really want to do something that requires something, you just go to TAFE and
100%.
You don't actually need it. And there's so much opportunity. Like, we're in such a rich time with opportunity as human beings, because we have this thing called the internet and what you can create and stuff. So, I just homeschool. For me, homeschool as well with like aligned people. Because I feel like that's where things start to get tricky, is when people bring up their children in a certain way. They put them in a school or whatever, and you might not want your kid to watch horror movies, and they go over to a kid's house and watch horror movies, like eat a bunch of garbage food, and then they're traumatized, or like I remember growing up going to certain sleepovers that were like borderline like traumatic.
No, fucking, I remember too. I remember some testing sleepovers.
Just like so dodgy. And
it's just so loose.
There's ways to build character and build resilience, and it's not like, people will argue that, you're over sheltering your kids, what happens and there's a whole argument for that, and I hear what people are saying, but I just don't think that if you bring your child up in a way that's like, they're always talking to all different kinds of people,
Sure.
Like,
you just kind of let them go where they want to go, and you don't force anything kind of upon them. But there is, you see the mothers that are just like completely just like sheltering their kids, and but it's completely the opposite what you do. I feel like you just like get curious, run free, I'm here. I love that.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's obviously, it's a work in progress, but it is what it is.
No, it's so cool.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask, is there any sort of like, obviously meditation and things are so kind of important to just spend time with the sensations that are going to happen during the pregnancy, how did you kind of get yourself prepared in those months in the lead up? Sorry, that was so washy what I just asked. No. I'm just like, it's just like we're all getting acquainted with sensations in general. Like if I'm feeling angry, I want to just be like, oh, I'm experiencing anger from the back seat or whatever. But yeah, did you have some practices that you in the lead up, or mostly just calming, or
honestly just spend a lot of time in nature? Just a lot of time marinating on the rocks, like being a bit of a lizard in the sun, and just a lot of time, in the waterfalls. And I was doing a lot of massage work. I stepped back from other work that was overstimulating. I journaled a lot. Did a lot of journaling. Watched a lot of sunrises. I did a few ceremonies, like fire burning ceremonies. A really amazing book I read was 10 Moons by Jane Hardwicke Collins. She really set me off on a bit of a journey, that woman. She's a legend.
Okay, cool.
She's I think she might even be local to this area. She's an Australian lady. She's a powerful lady. Cool. But yeah,
I'll have a look.
Her book had this amazing page that was super practical about releasing fears and how to just like question your own, like where your fears are coming from, what's it pinpoint, and just like reshaping it or rewording it, or and that was really helpful. And I did a couple of ceremonies of that, and I just I'm a pretty committed person, pretty determined, like a little bit of a dung beetle underneath sometimes. And if I really want to do something, like there's no stopping me. So like, it's really couldn't care less what anyone's gonna say.
So good. You just kind of became the part. Hey, you just fully flowed into it. It was meant to be.
Yes, like always having like love and empathy for those that it's coming from a place of love and they're concerned and they've got questions. But it's also just like, hey, look, these are your own fears that you need to deal with, and this is my experience, not yours.
Exactly.
I had that with my mum, really. And now my mum's like, I'm so proud of you. Like,
of course, you show her.
And that kind of thing. And you're always going to trigger anyone, no matter what. People are so easily offended these days. It's
crazy.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know what I can say and what I can't say, and what I'm going to get like punched for saying. I've got a very controversial side where I just like to stir the pot a little bit.
No, I've seen that. No, I'm a fan. I am a fan. I think it's great. I really do. I celebrate that for you.
Thank you.
As weird as that term is, celebrate it.
It's just nice to know that some people sort of sometimes think similarly.
Definitely.
But,
you need a village and a community.
Hey, that's funny. I was just reading Community and you said community. My final question, actually I have two more. How did you find navigating the partnership, a bebe, and time for self? Was that leaning a lot on community, or is that still something that you're navigating, or
taking the conscious effort and time to have the conversations before you have the baby is just like, again, I'm going to say it, like, huge. Friggin' do it. Just it's the little things really, and making known, like, and communicating, what your needs are. And being affectionate, like, I don't know, just it's those little moments of that add up. You don't have to like have a date night. Like, I think that's great. And I honor that for people. If you can't do that, like, it's just all the little things that count, like how you choose to speak to each other, and just having cuddles and stuff when you can. But it is tricky. It is challenging. It can put a massive strain on relationships. And I'm not gonna be easy breezy, like lie or anything. It definitely requires more from your relationship, and it's gonna test it, and it's gonna
rightfully so though.
Yeah, absolutely. And just communication and patience and
humor.
And like, I think having a group of women who you can support, and other mothers as well, connecting with other mothers is so important, and really pushing and declaring that, and being with someone who honors you enough that they know that you need time to nourish yourself. Like, I think if I did it again, I'd just be like on a different financial plane. I'd just put so much money into self-care. Like, I was still grateful to receive, massage therapy and other treatments, but I would just go hard in the pain and just be like, okay, every week I'm getting a massage. Like, no ifs, no buts. Like, you just gotta like, you might have to make compromises in certain things, but just do whatever. I find that like now I'm at a point where, I don't always have to be separate from Cedar, like to feel nourished, and everyone's different in what feels good for them. Like, I feel like connection, like I did this thing where we would have like a fortnightly or monthly sleepover with like some of my best friends. We'd go over and you just see like how it was meant to be happening, just unfolding before your eyes. You just see like one of your friends holding your baby, one person like stirring a pot of food, like, conversation, somebody's like, cool. Like doing the dishes, somebody's, I don't know, like lighting candles, and it's everything's just like moving in this organic, beautiful way. And that was just like, my heart was just like, wow, this is it. And it still is it. And so just having time with women is so potent, and it's something that so important, and you definitely need.
That's really cool. I like that.
Thank you.
Much. That's really wholesome. Made me think of this thing that I've been reading about. You've probably read about it. Instead of triggers, like the opposite of a trigger is called a glimmer.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I love this idea.
Isn't it great?
For me, it was just such a big glimmer when you told me about that. I just pictured it, and I was just like, the intuitive nature of like all these women coming together, and no one's like, what do you need me to do? But that's the extent of my questions. But
thank you.
Yeah, I so appreciate your time, and you were the first person I ever thought about getting on. Which is
wow!
funny, so
I feel very honoured.
Yeah.